Beautiful. Bit cold today. Hello, Sugar Honey. Hello, Tez. Oh, microphones. Hang on. Hello, Sugar Honey. Hello, Tez. Hey, it works. Oh, what a great day to be alive, eh? Say hello to Hitman for me, Sugar Honey. Alright, now, this is a rare treat. Everything's charged, everything's ready to rock. Whew, becoming an adult. I'll put that. Hello, Aussie Welsh. That's right, Aussie Welsh. How are you, bud? All right. Now, I'm going to have to sort this. I know what we'll do. How about we do that? Is that better? You too, Aussie Welsh. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for your support, Aussie Welsh. Thank you very, very much for always being in the stream and always popping in. Hello, Culpable. How are you, my friend? Speaking of people that I need to thank, big shout out to all the mods. Okay, thank you very, very much for coming in. Okay. Now, just excuse me for a second. What we're going to do today, fam, okay, is we're going to be doing a heap of different fishing techniques, right? And what we're going to do with those fishing techniques is I'm going to show you how I would fish areas, okay? So, that's good. So, mate, it is just an absolute pleasure to have good connection. Look at that. Right, that can go there. Actually, that can go there. Full reception. Whew. Dangerous. All right, everyone. Now, a big shout out to our sponsors, Millard Marine Qualia Reels and also Rode Microphones. If you want to get serious about your streaming, get serious about your audio, okay, and invest in Rode Microphones. Great company here in Australia that do a fantastic job and support so many people in so many different ways. Now let me get my hat. Ooh, here we go, it's back. The hat's back. Now we've got some fish under here, fam, check this out. Right, there's been a couple of little plops on the surface. Now I don't know whether you can see this, okay, but no, that wasn't a fish, that was a, what we've got is we've got parrots in the tree eating the sap out of the honky nuts and the flowering. These are the flowers of our local red gums, okay, and what they'll do is they'll eat all the sap out of them and then they'll bite them and then they drop them down to the ground. That's how you can tell where parrots are around trees. Rightio, so fam, what I'm going to do today, okay, is I'm going to show you how to fish a stretch of river, okay? And what I might do, because we have shade here, I'll take the phone off that and I'll put it on the tripod. That's a great idea. And then what we can do is you can have first-hand view of the casting and the different techniques, okay? So if you go camping and you come up to a spot like this, there are various ways that you can fish this. Now, what we've got is we've got an outgoing tide at the moment, so the water's heading towards the ocean, all right? With that water that's heading towards the ocean, this gives us many opportunities and many different areas that we can fish, okay, to try and catch a fish. First thing I would do, especially if you've got family and you're camping and that, your first prime spots are anywhere where we have structure, okay? And I'll get the tripod in a second here, and I'll show you this section here, sorry. So what we'll do is the first bait will cast, because the water's flowing this way, right? There's not really much point casting into here, because if I cast into here and I cast straight at a target, with the way the current is, the bait's going to come back over my line, which might cause a tangle, okay? So if the water's flowing this way, what I will do is I will cast to the edge of structure here, grab my spool just before the sinker and the bait hit the water, and then what will happen is your bait will flick out, and because the water's flowing this way, you'll have your bait at the end of your rig, and there's no way of tangling, and it'll be a far more natural presentation. And the other thing is too, if we do actually hook a fish, okay, we'll have an instant hookup. And what we're going to do today is also modify our techniques a little bit to also help us, you know, have a chance of getting a fish. Now, the other thing to do, remember, with your fishing, you've always got to be observant, okay? So above all else, what you need to do is watch the water. Now, if you see a little V going along in the water, that's usually the dorsal fin of a fish just underneath the surface, okay? You might see a nice calm stretch of water and then there's a bit of movement. You know that there's a fish that's been feeding in there. And what you can do is you can cast your baits out and have your baits working for you all the time. Make sure you're near the rod when you can see it, especially fishing for Western Australian black brim. Brim are a very strong fish. I've nearly lost, I think, well, I was young at the time, I've lost gear before, so you've got to be able to make sure that you can get to your fishing rod quickly, right? And even these riverbank holders are pretty good, but we'll sort that out in a second, okay? Now, what I'll do is I'll just grab the tripod. I think this will be far better angle through here. And then what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to show you how to actually fish this area. Now, this is a very deep section of the river. It's still quite murky in the middle. The edges are starting to clear up. But like anything, most of your fish that you'll find on the edge of your canopy line. And as I've always said, you need structure and shade to find fish. So lures are a different proposition. With lures, okay, what you're doing is you're enticing the fish to attack your lure. You don't know, hang on, now I just heard like a bloop on the surface, like a kiss. That usually means that's a black brim that's feeding on the surface, okay? Right, so. Okay, so what happens is fish will sit there in the water. With your lures, a lot of them have little sonic rattles in them. When that rattles, as it's being retrieved, it triggers off in their lateral line. So what they'll do is they'll either think it's food and hit it, or if they're in a spawning mode, they'll hit it purely as a territorial strike. You don't seem to get as many connections to your fish with territorial strikes because it's more of a get out of the way sort of thing. And sometimes you'll hit them on the side of the mouth and get them on the side and that sort of stuff, right? And other times it varies. So what I'll do is I'll show you a little bait technique. And what we're going to do today, fam, is you've got to remember whenever you fish, you've got to check your local guidelines, okay? So in Western Australia, you're not allowed to have more than 2 rods out at any given time. So what we'll do is we'll put out a small bait for bream, okay? And then we'll fish with the lure. Then we might cast out a big bait for mulloway, and then we'll take that one out of the water so we stay within Western Australian fisheries guidelines, okay? So, let's get this tripod out and let's get on with it, okay? Brucey, how are you, bud? Good to see you in here. Agent Cal Gibbs, welcome, 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 everyone. Rightio, let's get this going. What a lovely day. Ah, it's a great day. Oh, it is sugar honey, but I don't have the kayak. Okay, famo. One of these days, I'll show you my streaming box. I've got a box in there from Bunnings that's a storage container. It's got over $9,000 worth of gear in it. It's not cheap. But anyway, like I said, no one told me to be a streamer. I decided so. Yeah, we'll get there, sugar honey. Right. I'll just get the tripod sorted out, and that way you can get a first-hand view of what's going on. Whoops. Let's see. No, that might affect the old back cast here. Righto, fam. Just a few little technical things we've got to sort out. Okay, that's good. Now, what we're going to do, okay, is we're going to transfer from the tripod on the car to this tripod here. And if anyone out there is a streamer, one of your best friends is electrical tape. This solves everything. A bit like a farmer on the land. Well done, sugar honey. Right. So, let's grab this, like so. Chuck that in here. All right, fam. So let me just check which camera. No, what we'll do is we'll go back to the other one. Much better. Okay, there we go. Maybe we should try here. Yeah, that's a better idea. Let's just get this tripod right and level. Nice. Okay, famo, lovely. Right, everything's good. Everything's charged. Everything's visible. This is seamless today. I don't normally do this. Oh, Brucey, I'm glad to hear that, mate. I didn't even know. You should have messaged me in Discord, Bruce. I hope that all well, mate. I hope that all's well. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I've been through that myself, Bruce. I had open heart surgery in 2015, mate. And yeah, you certainly find out who your friends and your family are when you've had open heart surgery, Bruce. You know, so I hope that she recovers quickly, and I hope everyone's good at home, Bruce. Okay, and that goes to everyone that's in the chat. All right, now I'll just give you a rundown. I'm just going to have the phone here for a second, famo, just trying to get the right angle for what we're doing. Now, I don't know whether you can see in here. Hey, Will Gadamas, how are you, mate? Welcome to the stream. Just on the left there, we've got a couple of small trees that have fallen into the water, okay? And as you can see, right, you got to remember, usually when a tree or a branch falls into the water, you always allow 2 or 3 feet to the right of it, just in case that's the side crown of the tree, if you know what I mean, okay? So what we're going to do, our first bait, we're just going to get a little bit of green river prawn or pilchard, whatever we decide. We're just going to cast that over there. We're going to plonk the rod down, okay, on the ground, and then we're going to see if there's a fish in there, fam. Once it's in there, we're not going to touch it. Now, what I'm going to do today, famo, is I'm going to change our rig, all right? So with the rig that I normally use, we have 2 swivels, a sinker sliding between the 2 swivels, then we have a trace, and then we have our bait. What I'm going to do is go back to the rigs that I used in a lot of the areas where the fish are really finicky. Okay, I'm going to put 1 swivel, which is going to act as a stopper for the sinker. Then that way when the fish takes the bait, it's not going to take it for a certain amount of distance, feel resistance, and drop the bait, okay? All right, and then what that will do is that will just give us more chance of catching a bigger fish. Early season, they're just sort of coming out of the winter. The barometric pressure's going up, which apparently makes life easier for them. I don't know, I'm only going on what I've read. I'm not a fish, okay? And with these river gums and all that sort of stuff and this beautiful habitat, I don't know how often this area is fished. So everything's really in our favour today. We've got our first traditional spring day. There's a very, very slight breath of wind going across the land, all right? We've got the sun out. There's a few scattered showers forecast today, but they're not going to be till later on, okay? Thanks, Culpable. I'm sure I'll pay for that later. All right, so, Kel, you smoothie. See, if it was one of your dates, Kel, I'd be probably naked by now, you know, so. Now, fam, what I want to do today is I want to introduce you to the newest member of our stable. Okay, hello Cosmos, how are you, mate? Thank you to everyone that supported us on the old platform. What I did is I went out and got a Calcutta 700. Qualia don't make a casting overhead reel like this. We're in the process of designing a couple of new reels for them, okay? So this is the newest addition to the stable. All right, we're going to put this on a high modulus carbon fibre rod, and as you can see, this is a good 10 kilo stick for 20 pound. And we'll be fishing 15 kilo through it, but we'll be very, very careful with our drag settings, okay? And as with all fishing tackle, now a lot of people don't know this. When you buy fishing tackle, all fishing tackle has a balance point, fam, right? A perfectly balanced rod and reel, righty, that's it, is balanced at the front of the reel seat there. That's where it's perfectly balanced, okay? And this, believe it or not, is a perfectly balanced rod and reel. See how I can hold that with one finger? Okay, so that is my balance point that I'll be holding the rod and the reel. All right, so whenever you buy a rod and a reel, if the rod and the reel are balanced when loaded, that's perfect, but it should usually balance within the first foregrip. Okay, so when I hold this now when I'm fishing, that's going to be my balance point, right? That I had it measured and readjusted so that it rests on my forearm, and then that way when I'm fighting fish, I can whack that on the hip, find that on the arm, and when I'm casting and all that sort of stuff, away I go. These are a beautiful casting reel, okay? So thank you very much to the community. Like I said, when I left the old platform. I invested in that, and this is going to be used for years and years of content here on our YouTube channel, okay? And like I said, that's the balance point there. I'll show you the difference on other rods and reels, right? So with this rod and reel, this is Old Faithful, right? My balance point is there. See how the rod and reel, when loaded with line, are balanced? Okay, so when I hold this reel, that bottom finger goes there. That's where I hold it, because that's my balance point. I can hold that there all day and it'll be effortless. You don't really notice it on the lighter gear, but when you have heavier fishing tackle, such as at the beach or in a boat and that sort of stuff, and fatigue sets in, you do notice it, and it does become relevant, because fatigue is what will cost you the fish of a lifetime at the end of the day, okay? So what we'll do is I'm just going to go and modify this rig. So at the moment, I shouldn't be doing that though, I've got the sinker sliding between two swivels, okay? They call this a like the self-catching rig. So the fish will hit the bait, swim off with it, that will slide down and hit the other swivel, and it'll set the hook. With brim being so finicky, as soon as it feels the bump, if it hasn't set the hook, they usually drop the bait, okay? So I'll bring this over here. Right. Okay, so what we're going to do is, it's quite simple. We're just going to change this rig, okay? Stephen, how are you, buddy? Welcome to the stream, mate. We're just going to do a little bit of, we've got a big stream plan today, fam. We're going to go for about 6 hours until the batteries run out. Have I got a fresh one here? Let's have a look. Excellent, I sure do. Lovely. Now, you can buy combo packs of sinkers. This is the Gillies 55-piece egg sinker pack. What you do, in the larger sizes, you have less sinkers, but this is perfect for any type of fishing that you want to do, okay, in the estuary. Little split shot, not so big, see what I mean? So they have various types of sinkers in there. And then what you can do too is, down the bottom here, you can put hooks and swivels, and if you want to have a nice, easy, light fishing session, all you do is take one of these with you and it should have everything covered, okay? Now, what we'll do is, we're just going to put this sinker on here. I've got about 1.5 rod lengths of fluorocarbon leader. So this is about 9 to 10 feet of fluorocarbon leader that is joined to my braid. And what that does is, braid does not have good abrasion resistance in comparison to monofilament. That's one of the downfalls of braids. All fishing gear has positives and negatives, fam, okay? So what we'll do is, we're just going to cut this swivel off here like that. And what I want this to do today, right, is I want the fish to oh yeah, they can be, Steve. Right, that's between there. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to get a new swivel, fam. I'm going to replace it with new. I'm not going to use an old one. Right, and It's the same old story, famo. In Australia, we have the 5 Ps. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. Okay? Think about it. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. And that's what we're going to do. So this is the prior preparation. And with my recent record with fish, the poor performance is about 10 minutes away. Right, so I always use rolling swivels. I don't use brass swivels. I find them much less issues with failure. Right, and what we're going to do here, we're just going to do a clinched blood knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times around the line. I'll just show you here. All right, fam, so 7 times around the line, through that little tear-shaped loop that joins to the swivel, and then back through here, right? That's the knot. So form the knot, lubricate it with your saliva, okay? And then when it's a 90-degree tag like that, you know you've tied the knot properly, okay? Yeah, we have a different version, Brucey, but for fear of getting banned, I'm not going to repeat it. I didn't drop that, did I? Here it is. And I'm going to save my Now when you're checking leader, always check your terminal tackle. That joins you to your fish. You can't really look at thin line like this and know whether there's imperfections on it. So what you've got to do is your fingers become your eyes. That's fairly smooth, that's fairly smooth. A little bit of a blemish there that won't be a problem. That's actually pretty good, so I'll use it now. 1, so let's do this knot again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Back through the loop that's between the swivel and the knot you're tying. Down through here. Whoops. Don't go back through. No, that's good. Okay, lock that in. Now, yeah, I'll message you later, Brucey. All right, it's an Australian thing, mate, you know. So, this leader that I've joined to my braid, okay, is 20-pound fluorocarbon. Now, that's the shock leader. The leader that I've got to my line is only 14-pound fluorocarbon. It's very light. You can actually go down to 10-pound. A lot of the tournament brim fishers go down to 6, but hey, you'll still catch fish, you know. So, let's leave that there. Now what I'm going to do is grab a bait, okay. Now, the fish tails have been working really well in this river, so that's what we're going to use, okay. All these tailless fish that we've got. Excellent. So, straight out of the freezer, they're not the best. I don't have any live bait, so we're going to go to this frozen bait. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to put that back in my esky, like so. Leave that there to stay cold. Chuck that in the shade. Your esky, or cooler as you call it in Europe and America, will stay significantly cooler for longer if you don't have direct sun on it, okay? You lot of bad. Seriously, you lot of bad. You got too much time on your hands, Culp. Now you're trying to corrupt Brucey. Sugar Honey was already corrupted. Hitman's just spat out his drink going, oh, he knows her. Right? So. Okay. So. What I'm going to do is, when you do your baits, you've got to match your baits to the size of your hooks and vice versa. So see this? This is quite a small hook. It's a size 2 suicide hook. Now, there's not much point having a massive bait with a small hook like that, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm roughly going to guess the length there. Put that down there. Okay. Chuck that in here. I'm going to put this bait back in the esky, or cooler as you call it. Right. And then when you bait your hook, you've got to try and conceal the hook as much as possible. Ideally, you just want the eye of the hook and the knot and the point. So, see where we've got the darker part of this bait and the shinier part there? You've got a lateral line in the middle, which is the backbone. Right, so, see here, you go on top of the lateral line. Okay, like that. See how it's above the lateral line? Push that through, like that. Turn that back over, and then you go underneath the lateral line, like that. Okay, so what happens is, the backbone of the bait is now between the point of the hook and the eye. Right, so that will not fall off. All right, does that make sense? Just some little things like that, the little 1%ers that make all the difference, all right? So, oh, did you? Yeah, but at the Blackwood you'll catch lots of fish because there's less people there, Steve, you know. Okay, so let's bring this in here like this now. Right, chuck that in there. I think a bird just did an Adrian from Rocky on me. I reckon they sit there and do that deliberately just to line you up, you know. All right. Slightly back like that. Lovely. Okay. All right, fam. So, what we're going to do now is, in golf, there's an old saying, driving's for show and putting's for dough. Good point. Casting is much the same, right? So, when you first come down the river, the worst thing you can do first cast is cast across the river and bring it back through. You've just missed a window of opportunity in front of you, okay? So my first cast would be along this edge here because the water's flowing this way. So what'll happen is, okay, I can cast here, and then where that stick is, there's a little stick just out of the water there. There could be a fish there. I'd put another 2 casts between that stick and the low-lying branches there from the she oak. Then I'd put another cast there. So I would have between 10 and 15 casts with lures here, and each time going out a bit further, right? So once I'd fish that structure, then I'd turn around here and I'd fish this structure underneath, out here just to the edge of the shade. And what I would do is I would fish that whole shaded area in here first, fam. Once I've cast a lure over every single square centimetre of it, okay, so it'll take 15-20 minutes to fish, then I'll go out a bit further and work my way around, and then I'll try and use different techniques to go across the river. All right, so you would use different lures in different situations to try and maximise your chance of catching a fish. We'll go through that in a second. All right, so there's various ways you can cast. If you're a right-hander, that's a forehand cast. That's your offhand cast. Okay, You can do a bow and arrow cast, which I'll show you how to do in a second with a lure. Right, there's lots and lots of little variations. One thing I do know, if you're trying to cast for accuracy, the closer your sinker and your bait are to your rod tip, the more accuracy you'll have, okay? So in this instance, most of the weight is in the sinker, so you focus on the distance between the sinker and the rod tip, not so much the bait. If that was a full-size fish, well, and it weighed more than the sinker, well, then that's a different story. But in that situations, you probably wouldn't need to use the sinker. So anyway, first things first, I want to try and cast as close as I can to this snag, right, without hitting it and without getting caught in the trees. So I'll just sit here in the shade. I'm going to do this on a forehand cast in a round circular motion, and hopefully we've still got a bit of accuracy, you know. Now, I don't usually wear Polaroids or polarized glasses because I would like to think I know what I'm doing, but that's a hotly debated subject, especially when it comes to technology, but more about that later. Right, so just a nice simple cast. Now, basics. Don't have to cast really quickly, right? The slower you cast, the more accurate it'll be, okay? And because I've got the sinker between the bait and myself, I need to grab my spool when the sinker's about 4 to 5 feet above the water. That will flick the bait out, then the sinker will drop first, the bait will trail behind it, and because the water's going out to the ocean, the bait will swing and follow the current like that, okay? So, if I put the sinker, the distance between that swivel and the bait on that side of the snag, allowing for the water flow, the bait will pick up and drift under the snag, and it'll just sit on the edge of it, and hopefully a fish will come out, hit it, and try and go back into the snag. That's the thought process, okay? So let's go. No pressure. That is actually exactly where I wanted it to be. Right, that's already on the bottom. I'm going to tick that over, and what we're going to do is, right, hopefully there's no snakes under here because this is the time of year, fam. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plonk that there like so, and that way if a fish does hit it, right, it's not going to take off with the fishing rod that I've had for 30 years. And now what I do, right, forget about it. Although I am thinking, no, I'll chuck it here. I'll chuck it here. This will be a far more visual strike if it does hit, you know. The other thing is too, right, once your bait's in the water, okay, don't move it. All right, don't move it. So what we'll do is this. I'm going to leave that like that. I'm going to put it in this tree root here, like so. And of course you had to move the bait, didn't you, Jim? Right, like that. Okay, so now all the slack's on that line, and with that rod tip down here, I can actually start using lures, all right? So, lures. Let me show you the different types of lures, famo. Now, oops, yeah. There are many different types of lures on the market, but if you break it down into various types, okay, you either have lures that float or sink. Oh, I better get one that sinks, so I've actually got one here, but I'll get another one. Now, in the old days, a lot of your lures were quite crude and either made out of wood, okay, well basically they were mainly made out of wood. and then they sort of went to metal with these slicers and that sort of stuff. The French inline spinners like this have been around for a long time. I've actually made these, okay, and I'll show you. I'm going to do some lure making streams later. Not really lure making stream, spinner making streams, all right? And then they graduated to soft plastics. The poor fish don't even really stand a chance. These are the Z-Man soft plastics, and one of the most popular lures on the market in all instances is a crankbait. Now basically a crankbait is a lure with a bib on it like this, that when you cast it it'll float. They sometimes have rattles in them, little subsonic rattles. The reason why this has a subsonic rattle is when it retrieves, it makes the same sound that a crawfish in America or a marron in Australia, they click and they tick as they go along, right? And that triggers a predatory response in the fish. So a crankbait is a bib lure that when it floats, but when you start to retrieve it, it dives. So this is a crawfish or crayfish pattern, and a fish pattern's no different. They're still crankbaits, okay? So I'll show you how to rig them up. Jay, how are you, bud? Welcome to the stream, mate. Good to see you. So now what we're going to do, right, is work our way over here. Let's get in here, and I'll show you how to rig up lures, famo. Righto. Let's put the cow cutter here, like that. This has got a dropper loop rig on it. So what we're going to do is yeah, this has got a bit of salt here, Steve, so it sort of presents a few different issues, you know. Nice work. Crawfish, sugar honey. I think this river's a little bit too salty for crawfish, but we'll work that out later. All right, famo, and then of course soft plastics have gone to another level. Okay, these are the Halco soft plastics. These are little paddle prawns. They're 3 inches long. Okay, so when you fish with lures, there's 2 ways you can do it, or 3 ways really. You can join braid straight to a snap swivel and clip that to your lure, or you can join your braid to a shock leader, then tie your shock leader to a snap swivel. That's another way to do it. And then of course you've got the other way where you can tie your braid to a swivel and you have a little amount of line like so, or however long you want to do it, and then you'll use a loop, okay, and you'll use that to cast your lures out. Some people prefer that, all right? Me personally, I just use the snap swivel if I can find it. Excuse me for a second. I had it in here. That'll teach me to be too organised. No, it might be in the other box. Excellent. So what we're going to do with this one is, one thing that never ceases to amaze me, people, is the price of terminal tackle nowadays. Swivels and all that sort of stuff has just gone absolutely off the charts, okay? So what I've got here is a little rolling swivel with a coast lock snap. Coast lock snaps I find are a lot stronger than your normal snaps. Okay, so once again, we'll just do our clinched blood knot, as they call it, or that's how I've always had it called. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back through the tear drop shaped loop, then back through where you've done the knots. So form the knot, a little bit of saliva. With this knot, you've got to make sure that it doesn't slide over the eye of the swivel or the hook that you're using, okay? Right. So, ideally, as a rule of thumb, you try and use as small a snap swivel as possible, famo. Right? No sugar. Oh, yeah, that too, sugar honey, but they have, I mean, you know, in the old days, you'd always get 12 swivels to a packet. This one's got 10, you know. Some of them in the larger sizes only have 5. Do you know what I mean? And knowing what it costs to get swivels done overseas. Thank you, X-Ray Specialist Punk. Thank you very, very much for coming in, mate. Good to see you in here, matey. Now, as a rule of thumb, what you don't want to do is you don't want to use a clip that's a lot bigger than the bib, because it'll foul. Right. Now, see how I've pulled that apart like that? That gives it more tension when you load it up in there, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, all of these have got split rings on the eyes. Right. Come on. Off you go. Ouch. Lovely. Get in there. What I want this to do, what I want this to do, so I want this to hook through there, right? And I want the swivel to anchor off that little point there, okay? See that? And then what we do is we plonk this down here out of harm's way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do some casting techniques. So let's shift the tripod again, right? And then we'll start, alrighty? Thank you very much to everyone that's given up their time to come in. Now, what I might do is let's bring this right in here, like so. Just drop this back a bit, like that, like that. Nice, good battery life, everything's going well. Now just excuse me for a second, fam. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to rig up some, is that the one? Excellent. I'm just going to rig up my phone to start charging, so just give me a second. Sorry about this brief interruption in transmission, okay? Lovely. This is far too professional for me. I don't feel right about this. As Culpable leans back and starts slapping his forehead. Right, so there we go. That's charging, which is good. That's all charging, which is good. Weather in California was fabulous. Lovely, mate. Thanks, Steve. All right, famo, so the lure that we're using, okay, is a crankbait. Now remember, it doesn't matter whether it's a fish or it's a crawfish or whatever. If it has a bib on it and it floats and then you start to retrieve it and it dives, okay, it's a crankbait. Now, we've got to remember that we've cast our bait over here. Now, crankbaits are very handy, all right? If I'm fishing a snaggy area, so just say, for example, this river's not as wide, and I've got an overhanging branches, and I've got a gap like that between the water and the branches, I don't have to cast at the branches. If the water's flowing down this way, right, what I can do is I can cast upstream, okay, of where the branches are, leave the crankbait on the surface, let it drift down underneath the overhanging trees, and then I can start to retrieve. That way you can fish everywhere, okay? So, what I'm going to do, when you fish with lures, right, you must, all right, we've got a fish on, fam, we've got a fish on, we've got a fish on. We've got a fish. That's the bait that we put in first, and it's a good one. This is a good fish, famo. This is a good fish. Get out of there. Come on, fish on. This is a good fish, fam. All right. Good fish. Come in here. Oh, I can't move it. Come on, son. There you go, famo. Method in our madness. Right, a beautiful big Western Australian black brim. Check that out. All right, whoops. And notice how I used the new rig, hooked it in the corner of the mouth. Right, let's take a quick measurement of that. Right. Okay. 42, back it goes. See, bud? Yes, it works. Live on stream, finally. Hey there, Reflex Photography NZ. How are you, mate? Always a good way to start the day with a fish, fam. Now, in this river from now on, we will not be fishing with 2 swivels. We will be fishing with 1 swivel, because these fish are obviously pressured in their day-to-day existence, really. And you've got to remember, fish don't always stay in the one spot. And then what will happen is, you know, anything that you can do to give yourself a chance of catching a fish, right, you figure it out as you go along. In some areas where there's really finicky fish, I will show you on another stream, I actually use what's known as a lazy hook, and I'll show you that on the next stream, okay? So, what we're going to do is just repeat what we've done. Some people say, oh, you'll never catch more than 1 fish under any snag. Rubbish. Okay, so let's do this again. I've cast that in exactly the same spot. I managed to grab that just before it hit the water. The bait hit an angle like that, but the sinker is closest to me than the bait. So what's going to happen is now the bait's going to swing back with the current and downstream and be straight under that snag again, okay? So, what we'll do again, right, is we'll leave that there like that. So I'll probably leave it like that. That's a good idea. Right, and then because I'm retrieving left-handed, be easier for us, all right? Scooty Mad, yeah, I remember, mate. How are ya? Now, I wonder. That's a good idea. You're always learning, fam. Remember that. You're always learning. How are you, Scooty? No, that's not right. You're finally out of lockdown. Well done, mate. You must be so relieved. Let's just hit that there. And remember, people, when you're fishing, right, don't leave the fish out of the water for longer than about 5 or 10 seconds. Okay, so I hooked that fish, right, I brought it in straight away, took the hook off it, showed you, measured it, showed you, straight back in the water, okay? And that's gonna have very, very little shock, all right? So, let's work. Now, when you're fishing with lures, fam, what you've got to do, like I said, there's certain basic rules, okay? The closer your lure to your rod tip, right, the more accurate your cast will be. And the other thing is too, if I'm moving the lure like this and I don't have too long, you know, a distance between the lure and the rod tip, I've got control of the lure. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, right? I've got control of the lure because it's moving. See, right? Not that I'm some sort of lure fishing ninja or anything, because I'm not. So see this, right? I've got control of it, okay? Doesn't matter what I do, it's not going to hit the rod tip, okay? So I'm moving the lure, I can control it, okay? Right, great. Now, the other thing is too, all right? With that swivel that's on the bib, if I just come up here and cast this, oh, hang on, I think we've got another fish happening, fam, hang on. Yeah, the line's moving, get on with it. Yeah, we're on, fish. Got another fish. Oh, it's a big one too. Oh, good fish, fam. Oh, this is bigger than the other one. I saw the line moving and I knew what was happening. Right, come on. Come on, little fella. All right, all that pulsing. There we go. There must be a school of similar sized fish in there. Right, we don't need to, I just need to get the hook out of it. There we go, back in the water. There you go, bud. See you, mate. Say hello to everyone else. Say he's a bit ugly, but he's got a kind heart. Right, 2 casts, 2 fish. Okay, now, a little bit of bait. There you go, you can have that one for free. So, what we'll do, bait up again. Now I haven't, I am going to show you some lure casting, okay? Hey Hank, how are you, bud? Yeah, see, people, this is a very, very valuable fishing tool. Let me give you the breakdown of your fishing. The hook connects you to your fish. Your line, whether it's braid or monofilament, is the join. A rod is an extension of your arm. See that? That's just an extension of my arm. So what I'm doing really is I'm fishing with a 9-foot arm here. All right, being a bit of a gorilla that I am. Okay, your reel stores line, your reel retrieves line, and your reel has a drag that wears out the fish. That's it. Whether you spend $1,000 on this or $60 like I did in 1991 or 90 or whatever it was, 94, 93, I'm old, I don't remember, okay, is not relevant. The basics of it is the same. Don't get sucked into thinking spending massive dollars on gear will improve your fishing. If the fish aren't there, it doesn't matter what you use, you're still not going to catch fish. Really expensive tackle does not make you magically catch fish. Total fallacy, okay? Right, let me just get another bit of bait. All right. The reason why I'm using the tail of these fish, fam, right? I've got more gaps in my teeth than Swiss cheese, Brucey. Reason why I use the tail of the fish is usually bigger fish will hit smaller fish either head first or on the tail, you know? So I'm just gonna let this defrost for a second. Whoops, there we go. Just let that defrost for a second, okay? Now, because this stretch of river is on private property on both sides, not many people fish this stretch, and I don't think these fish that are here would have seen a bait for a very long time. That's why we're catching these fish today. First in, best dressed, fam, okay? One thing I've never done that I would like to do is I would like to catch a brim on a small spinner. Never fished for them with spinners. Oh no, I have. I can't remember. I can't even remember whether I have caught, but I don't think so. So, anyway. Hey birdies. Oh, so lovely to be able to bring the community out here, be at one with nature, right? Above all else, fam, respect your environment, respect the fish, okay? And above all else, you've got to remember that's another living creature, okay? So you've got to make it as easy for it as possible to get back in the water. When you see these people throw fish onto rocks and onto, you know, decks and that sort of stuff, worst thing you can do, fam, right? I've ripped that out, taken the hook out of its mouth, and without hitting dirt or anything like that, straight back in, and I wet my hand, right, before I did it. So my hands are still quite wet. If it's dry, you'll burn them. So, third time's a charm, as they say. Let's see if I can cast in the same spot 3 times in a row and get 3 fish in 3 casts. And notice, me personally, fam, when you go fishing and you bump into those tournament anglers, right? No disrespect to tournament anglers. I know 1 or 2 tournament anglers that are good blokes. The other ones, well, you know, for half an hour you get a life story. For half an hour you get how much money they've spent on fishing tackle, why they've spent on fishing tackle, why they're such a better fisher person than you. You don't know what you're doing because you're not in tournaments. If you're any good, you'll be in tournaments. And about 5 minutes in and I'm like, oh, sorry, did you say something interesting? All right, just throwing it out there. Okay, so we haven't hyped this up. We haven't done anything untoward. I'm not carrying on like a $2 watch, right? And we've got 2 fish, away we go. Now, bail arm open, no pressure, 3rd time in a row. Jimbo, just do what you've done for the 3rd time. That's actually a better cast than the last 2. Running hot. Now, the other thing is too, oh shit, not running hot. Get it out of the snag, you idiot. How'd that get there? Oh, that's better. The other thing is too, a little bit of simple physics, fam. I have a branch going that way in the water, right? I'm putting, and I didn't even think this, it just occurred to me, anyway, I'm putting my rod down with the rod tip facing away from the branch, right? Locking in like this, that way, when the fish hits, okay, the rod is pulling it away from the snag, not this way towards the snag. No, we haven't, have we? I just saw that line move, fam. Hang on, we could be on again. Wait a second. Looks like muley's on the menu, fam. Now, I don't know whether that's wind. Nah, that's moving really slowly. If that is a fish, that's a big one. Notice how I'm resisting the temptation to pick the rod up. If there is a fish there with the rig that we're using, we will catch it, all right? Don't stress about it. All right. Oh, thanks, Punk. Oh, yeah, I'll show you now. And people, thank you very, very much. We've got 17 viewers at the moment. That took me about 17 months to get on Twitch, and I know that everyone's come across from the other platform, but thank you very much for your support. Okay, so, you know when you've got a really big brim on the line, when it reverberates like a guitar string. Okay, the rod locks in, bang, and the line's going like it's going past its stretch point, you know. Now, what I might do is let's just zoom in a bit, shall we? Maybe not. I have a hard enough time fitting on a screen anyway. Okay, famo. Wow, that's charging everything. I can't believe this. Fam, most apprenticeships take 4 years. We've done 3 in streaming, and I think I've finally got it right, famo. Phone's charging, battery on the modem stable, angles are right, we've got all the gear. This is the golden age of our stream, fam. Now, like I said, worst thing you can do, right, when you're fishing is first cast. Whoops. Yep, that's a big old cow shit. Ooh, how romantic. Right. Oh, that odour. Love it. Miss living on a farm now that I'm civilised and stuff. So, in this section here, I'll just show you what we've got here so you know what we're doing. So these are the instructional videos that would have been wasted on the old platform, fam, straight up. Okay, we'll do them on YouTube. They'll stay up there forever and they'll be valuable references for future. All right, so anytime you want to go fishing, you want a little bit of a brush up, you know, just go back to the YouTube stream, turn it on, and it'll be there forever and a day, okay? So let's just bring this down here for a second, right? Another little tip too when you're fishing, if you're going to put a lure on your guides, right? Whoops. Oh, great. Did I split that? Oh, no. Get out of there. Oops. Oh, actually, that's a good idea because I found... no, we're going to have to do a little bit of an upgrade, fam. Hang on. I've got frayed line here. I didn't even see that. Hang on, famo. All right. Yep. Now, if I didn't get that snagged, I wouldn't have realised how bad a state the line was in. But let me just check this. Hang on. Yes, it is. Hang on, famo. Right. We've got a change of tact, fam. All right. Hey, John, how are you, mate? Welcome to the stream. No, boy, how are you, bud? Thank you, Terry. Nice to see all of the cartoon head people in here. Now, famo, what I'm going to do is, let's just shift this here like this. Man, anybody think, look at the colours on this YouTube stream compared to the old platform. Absolutely mind-blowing. Anyway, what I did, fam, is when I went to hook the lure up to the eye, see the colour of this braid? See how it's a grey? That's a rookie mistake. I could have cost myself a good fish here. So, what we'll do is, we'll do this out in the field. Rightio. I'm going to reset this, okay, so that we are able to use this. Right? Yeah, that braid's had the pork. It had the absolute pork, that braid. So we've got 2 fish from that one snag. Now the other thing is, famo, Most of your brim are quite territorial, okay? So, reflex, I actually gave the boat back in June as per the agreement. Let me just get this going. Now, I should have, oh, YouTube, I should be on this phone as well. Let's have a look. Hey! Wow, 19 people watching. Thank you very much, fam. Oh, yeah, culpable with COVID, mate. Supply's a real issue. Now, see this? Okay. Watch the change in the colour of the braid as we strip this worn stuff off. See how this grey and white braid is starting to become less discoloured. See that? Okay, that's fresher stuff there. Right, that's about our limit there, okay? So see how that's starting to get a little bit darker now? That's because all the stuff that's worn, okay, we're taking that off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a longer shock leader on here, fam. Right, now see how that's starting to become newer? Brilliant, okay? Great, so what we'll do is we'll just put a bigger shock leader on here. There we go. Now see how the colour's back in that spool? Right, it looks like it's, you know, still on the spool and in the shop. So, oh mate, so what I'm going to do is, now see all this? This has become fibrous and it's split. Usually with braid, right, they're either 4 strand, 8, 12, 16 or 20 strand, okay? And with that, obviously, a lot of the stuff you get on the market being cheap, right, it's 4 strand. So once it gets a bit worn and the fibres start to fray, it'll start to split. Now remember, this is super strong. If you throw this on the ground, it'll kill all animals that go near it. So never leave rubbish, only leave your footprints, all right? So now what we're going to do is this, right? Oh, don't be jealous, Reflex. If I didn't have the community numbers to get the boat, mate, I would never have been able to afford it too. You know? Yeah, nothing to be jealous of, mate. If you start streaming, do 4,000 hours in 3 years, and build up your community and get a lucky break like I did, mate, you'll be able to organise a sponsorship too. And that all comes back to the community, fam. You know what I mean? The community didn't have to pay for that boat. By watching, they provided us the vessel to go and get out the sponsorship to provide the content, okay? Now, what I'm going to do now, famo, is I'm going to do a knot known as a Bimini Twist, okay? So with a Bimini Twist, if someone knows what they're doing, they'll do quite a few turns on it, okay? Me personally, I like to do about 40. Right, so there we go. That's why it's a twist. Okay, it's not a dance. So I'm just going to put that around the, I'm going to put that around my little battery box there. Right, so what I'm doing here is I've got the loop around the battery box. You probably can't see it. Sorry about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on my tag end. No, that's my tag end. Jim, what are you doing? Anybody think I've been drinking? Let's not do that. Right, so I'm going to pull on my tag end. So what this does, right, what this does is this tightens the loops that I've made. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold the tag end between my middle finger and thumb. I'm going to start pressing back on the V where the loop is, and I'm going to wind this tag end around the little loops that I've made. Then I'm going to tie it off on the right hand loop, right? Then I'm going to tie it off on the left hand loop there, so that means I've locked the knot in. Then what I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to do a triple hitch like this. So once, twice, please don't start playing Lionel Richie, okay? I'm going to do a little triple hitch and I'm going to pull that tag end back slowly. Now with braid, because it's got no stretch, I don't need to lubricate it, but I still do anyway. That line's quite salty. That's a bit of a surprise, right? Lovely. So we've got the triple hitch in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do another triple hitch. Now with braid being so thin for this poundage, this is only 20 pound, 2 triple hitches aren't really going to cause an issue going through the guides of the fishing rod, right? Now, more of a concern when we join the monofilament to the braid. Oh, that's right, couple, but we're still going to provide content till then, mate. Don't stress, you know. And look, I mean, I'm very grateful that we've still got such a great sponsor, fam. Okay, but all in good time. You've got to remember too, our sponsor was out of pocket, you know, 60 or 70,000 when he was doing that. We were just very lucky to be so fortunate, you know. All right, famo. So, what I want to do here, right, is I want to join this Bimini Twist of braid, okay. Oh no, culpable, I appreciate it, mate. I wasn't having a crack at you. I appreciate it, mate, you know. I know, mate, I appreciate it, but it's just some of the people, like with some of the hate mail that we get, some people think that, you know, the boat was all we were about. That wasn't the case at all, you know, and thank you very, very much for answering that. It's just in case anybody sort of had any funny ideas and that. So we have the Bimini Twist, right, and we have 14 pound fluorocarbon. That's all you need for brim, right? Okay, so what we do is this. Firstly, you even out the tag end, okay? You get your braid and your line and you cross it over like that. Right, this is a Bimini braid joint. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That'll do. Put that back through the tag end like that. No, put the tag end back through the loop that you've wound it round. Now just gently, gently. Now see how that knot's formed? Little bit of a check, you just make sure that everything's even. No, that's not even, come on. Get in there. Beautiful. Now you hold on to the tag end, like so. Great. So what we have is we have an absolutely beautiful little join there. See how that monofilament has wrapped around the Bimini there? Okay, that's even. So now what we're going to do is a little bit of insurance. I warned you, didn't I? I warned you, culpable. You know, any hint of Lionel Richie, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, the poor bugger with Lionel, great fella, but he gave us Nicole. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think that tends to outshine. You know what I'm saying? At least you didn't hear dancing on the ceiling, culpable. Oh, mate. Now, as a little bit of insurance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little triple hitch because sometimes these can slip. Yeah, revenge is sweet, culpable. Right, I'm going to do another little triple hitch. There. There we are, right. So what we have here, I'm just stirring him up, mate. What I've got here is I've got that knot joined. Now, what I can do, because I've taken the braid off, Hang on, where is it? Yep, hang on, I'm just gonna grab that. Because I've taken the braid off there, fam, what I'm gonna do, let me show you something here. Now, that's a little 28. See that 3 to 5 mil on the edge of the spool there? That's where about 80% of your casting distance comes from, okay? So it's important to have this spool filled to within 1 to 2 millimeters of the lip. So if you put a little dot there, 1 to 2 millimeters in from there on the spool, 1 to 2 millimeters there, that's your optimum place that it'll fill, right? So now that I've got it in there, I'm just gonna wind this on. We've got this beautiful join between the Bimini, right? Don't be afraid to put 20 or 30 meters of really good quality mono on there, fam, right? No, don't do that. Get on there. So, what I've done, see how I've just put probably about, I would say, maybe about 20 meters of fluorocarbon. Now, don't worry about where the fluorocarbon's tucked in, right? Down the bottom, worry about the edge of it. So see the edge of that fluorocarbon? That fluorocarbon's only about 3 mil from the edge of the spool. Now, with the edge of the spool, some of them will have a little bit of a rounded bevel or edge there. You don't do it right from there. So here, we're within about 1 millimeter of it. So now what we've got is we've got most of our casting distance back, okay? Okay, so, isn't it lovely to be out in the Australian bush, fam? Okay, just chilling out, do you know what I mean? Listening to all the birds, you know, and just being in amongst nature. And I'm really sorry for anyone that's caught in lockdown in the moment. Our hearts go out to you, right? And we hope that you're coping okay. Alrighty? So, seven times around, once back through there, like that. Cut the tag end there. If I can offer one bit of advice with your terminal tackle, right? Now, Sugar Honey's the only one that knows how to sort culpable out. With your terminal tackle, always take that extra bit of time to make sure it's all okay, fam. Alright, now, after much ado, what we can do now is actually start casting this. When you put your lure, okay, on your guides, never ever have it so that the hooks from your lures are rubbing on the ceramic insert on your guide, okay? Always have it on the foot of your guides there. You never ever want to have hooks in here rubbing on it, because what they'll do is they'll put a groove in your ceramic insert, and what that will do, it will eventually cut your line, and usually on the fish of a lifetime, all right? So just little 1%ers that make all the difference, fam. All right, let's just chuck that down there. Tell you what, Old Faithful was running hot before. Oh, is it? Yeah, I've already paid for Starlink, mate. So I'm waiting for Uncle Elon to get his shit together. All right, let's just put that in the shade. You don't want anything near your modem to heat up. That's good, that's good, that's good. All right, Femo, that's good. Let's leave that there. Great. Now, let's turn this around, fam. So as you can see, famo, we've been out here today. We've already caught a couple of fish. Right, the bait's working for us all the time. Alrighty, so don't be afraid to have the bait out in the water. Okay, and then, you know, you fishing with the other stuff. Wow, look at that. Now I'm just going to stir up a fellow streamer. Oh, that was a raven. I don't know what that's hiding from. Let's chuck that there. Okay. Just give me a second, fam. All right, famo. Now, we're actually going to get some lure fishing done. Let me just check that the camera angle's right. Almost like a hunter call of the wild at the moment. All right, fam. Now, fishing with lures. All right. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown what we're contending with here. So down on the right hand side, right, down on the right hand side here, see how we have this little area underneath the tree? If I had the tide coming in and flowing upstream, what I could do was cast my little crankbait in here, leave it floating underneath the tree so I can fish that area, then start retrieving it, okay? But as you can see by the other side of the river, the tide's going out and it's heading towards the ocean, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, my first cast is going to be a couple of short range casts in here. Right, just going to retrieve it in here, cast under that snag here, retrieve it in there, and then I'm going to do a longer range cast through here. Now this is a really big crankbait. If we do get a fish, it's going to be a beauty. All right, so now you've seen what we're dealing with there. Okay, let's go. Oh yeah, yeah. Now remember, right, when I'm moving my rod like this, okay, I've got control of the lure. Doesn't matter what I do, I've got control of it, fam. Right, and this is all you got to do. You got to do with your fishing, you just got to pick the right time to let the line go. So, to cast forehand through here, total waste of time. Right. Offhand is not going to be much better. If you put yourself inside of a compass, right, you've got 360 degrees on a compass. You've got 360 different positions you can hold your rod and your rod tip to catch fish. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Alrighty, but think of it more of a clock face. So 60 different positions. You know, that's number 1, that's number 30, 15 and 45. And you've got to remember too, as long as you anchor off here, you can do underhand casts, right? You can do side casts, forehand, offhand, backhand, you know what I mean? And with these crankbaits, because they float, I can just do a little underhand cast here, boom, perfect. See? And then I'll just bring my little crankbait in here. And what that'll do, I'll show you the action of this crankbait, fam. This is why these lures work, I'll show you. Okay? Yeah, Wilgadamus. Got 2 brim, both about 42 centimetres. Right, so let's just chuck this down here like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how these crankbaits work, okay? Right, hopefully you can see it. All right. So with these little crankbaits, what you do, now remember a crankbait is a lure with a bib that floats, and when you retrieve it, it sinks. So here we go like that. Okay, so just watch what this does as it comes in. See how it starts to dive to the bottom? Right, oop, not when it's got a stick on it or a leaf. All right, so here, like that, it'll float and then it dives, see? And what it does is it imitates a little crawfish. Oh no, that's over the line, damn it, get out of there. Oh, did I save myself? That's all right, good work. Okay, that's hit another stick. This is a good sign that we're pulling up sticks and structure, fam. It means that people haven't been in here to clean it out first, okay? That's a bit windy. And because I'm using a crankbait, I can leave that, it'll float on the surface, right, and just watch what this does. Okay, see how that wiggles past? That's all it does, and it triggers off a predatory response in your fish. So what I'll do is I'll bring the tripod back now, and I'll show you exactly what we're going to try and achieve today, okay? Let's bring this back here, like that. Back up here. Or could we leave it here maybe? Yeah, why not? Let's do that, eh? That's probably a better idea. Good work. All right. So, the other thing is too, famo, right? Huh? Vault, how are you, mate? Sorry to... Okay. The underarm, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I think so, Vault. Yeah, they're... With all the hate that's going on in streaming at the moment, mate, they just yeah. That wasn't us, that was actually the Streamlabs. Rightio. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, famo, in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast across the river, right? And I'm going to try and get a fish, and this will leave us to fish with lures here. In fact, what I might do, now we've already pulled out 2 42 centimetre brim from that snag, right? So what we'll do now is we'll just shift this on the other side, and this is actually going to be good because it'll let us know if we've still got a bait. Yep. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast at 45 degrees this way. I'm just going to try and fan it out into the middle of the river. I'm going to go to this deeper section, and what I want to do is I want to have my line here and then my bait coming through here. So just like this. All right, I'm going to bring that in. Great, that's not too shabby at all. Chuck that down here. All right, and what that's going to do, that's going to benefit us twofold, as that rod's going to sit there and if a fish hits, right, the rod will go off, and what we can do is we can lure fish this section. So, my first cast is just going to be a very, very short range underhand cast into here, right? I've got about 1 inch or 2.5 to 3 centimeters of line between my snap swivel and my crankbait, right? All I want to do is I want to cast this about 8 feet in here. Notice how I've got absolutely no play in that. There's absolutely no play in that lure, so I've got instant connection. I can actually feel the tension from the knot to the snap swivel. This means I've got maximum control. I've got my rod upside down in there, beautiful cast. I've landed probably less than a foot from that snag. If I keep my rod tip down, what that will do is that will send my crankbait to the bottom, and it'll hit the dirt and knock up little bits of tufts of dirt and sand from the bottom, just like the real thing, okay? So now what I'm going to do is, once again, I've removed any room for error in there. I'm going to cast 15 or 10 to 15 centimeters or 4 to 6 inches where I just cast. Right, just before that hits the water, I grab my spool, it'll flick it out so the snap swivel doesn't foul the bib, right? This time, I'm going to just have my rod tip a little bit higher, and I don't want this to dive right down the bottom, okay? Even though it's just hit a stick. This is good. The fact that we're hitting sticks and hey, mozzies, hang on people, I just got to get some Aerogard. The fact that we're picking up sticks and all that sort of stuff shows that this area hasn't been fished properly for a while, okay? See you, sugar honey. Oh, that's right, Will. That's right, mate. Life's like that, Will. Oh, the old legs feel a bit better. Haven't got mosquitoes sucking the life out of them. All right, Famo. Maybe I should bring that over here. That's probably a better idea. Yes, there we go. That's better. Okay, point taken. Oops. Oops. Actually, let's get that right. Nice. Okay. So, what we're going to do in here, fam, I'm sorry that I didn't show you that before. So, where's the line? Oh, no, no, no. You don't want that. Get down there. Oh, shit. Hang on, famo. Sorry for the swearing. Another rookie mistake, trying to do too many things at once. That's better. So just let that drop under there. Always got to remember, you always got to look where your line is, fam. Okay? You must know where your line is at all times. All right, so what I'm going to do is, okay, so I've removed, see how I've got a very, very short tag end between the snap swivel and the rod tip? This means I've got maximum control. So my first cast, hopefully you can see that, is I'm just going to pick a line through here. My fishing rod actually matches the path of where I want to cast. Watch. Okay, there. All right, I've already cast in the first two, but I'll do that again. Bring the crankbait in. Right. Okay, nice. So in here. So what I've done is I've actually cast at that snag, and with total confidence. Hey. No, it was a leaf. Thought that was a fish. Can't have too much fun in one stream, famo. Rightio. Yeah, that's not good. Manufacturer, the hooks tangle. I told you not to do that. I had these lures designed overseas, fam, and made for me, but there's a couple of things that took a few shortcuts on, but we won't worry about that. Now, have got this rain turning up today. Now what I'm going to do is, usually when you cast, right, you always try and put your rod along the line that you want your lure to go. See here? So I'm going to do an underhand cast to avoid these overhanging trees. There we go. Right. So I've done my first couple of casts there. Okay. This is good. There's a lot of debris in this water. That's good. Not very good though when these keep getting tangled. I might actually take one set of hooks off, I think. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the side, and hopefully you can see this. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cast to the right of this snag here. Right. I want that to be about, I would say, 3 to 4 foot under the water when it's heading past that snag. Now that's really deep water in there, fam. Okay, excellent. We've got another bit of like leaf material, which is good. This is a good sign. Normally when people fish areas, famo, what they'll do is they'll take everything out, you know. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to do another cast a bit closer. Now remember, my fishing rod follows the path that the lure's going to go. So if I want to cast in here, I've got to finish up with my rod tip pointing at my target, right? So just rehearse the cast, take that bit of extra time, right? Nice little cast. That's going to drift towards the snag. I'm watching my line, good. So I'm going to bring that right in along that snag there, okay? All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fish this whole area, right? And even though this is a 5 gram crankbait, because I'm using braid, right, I'm fishing this whole area and this deep area quite easily. And with any luck, hopefully we'll pick up a brim or a mulloway, but you know, I'd be happy just with the brim. Now, I thought that was another snag, but I think I actually had a hit then, right? But what we'll do is we're going to use these crankbaits and then we'll go to soft plastics. Nice. Right, now just before that hit the water, I've grabbed my spool, which has flicked the lure out. Now it's sitting on the surface and I'm just watching my lure drift downstream. So I'm actually waiting for that. All right, so now it's about 4 to 6 inches from where I first cast it. All right, and what I'm doing is I'm using the waterway to my advantage. Alrighty, lovely. Bring that in there. Good work. Now I can make this crankbait go shallow or deep purely by lifting my rod tip. If you see a snag and you've cast over it, lift your rod tip up. The lure should come up over the snag, and then when it's over the snag, drop your rod tip and it'll go, the lure will drop over the snag. That way you can fish the shapes of logs really easily. Right, now I've got this overhang here, so what I'm going to do is bring that there. Beautiful. I'm actually fishing 2/3 of the way across the river here. Right, now I can't reach the other side with this lure, but I can with soft plastics. I'll show you what I mean. Right, we'll just bring this in here. With 14-pound fluorocarbon, with 14-pound fluorocarbon as my leader, or my shock leader to my braid, I'm able to cast significantly further than 20-pound fluorocarbon. It's just fact. Okay, so, you know, 14-pound, if you do your knots properly in that, it's still very strong. You're never going to catch a 14-pound brim, but you're going to catch one that's going to stretch your line to its limits, okay? Now, because I've got this overhanging tree here, I just want to do a flat sidearm cast. Now, let me show you something here, fam. Right? All fishing rods are built on a backbone. See that, how it bends? If I cast that off the backbone, right, it's going to cause it to twist the line and the cast in the air, all right? Thanks, Punk. Thanks for coming in, mate. Man, that's 100% already. Wow. So let's get that out. Let's charge this. C to C charging, awesome. So I'm going to turn my rod on its side. See, I actually pointed to where I was casting. Now, that was a lot further right to where I'd cast the first time. So what I'm going to do is just let this drift downstream. Okay. Point my rod tip at the water. Why is that spinning? I'll tell you why. Because it picked up something on the way down. Let's go. Come on, mate. Don't be like that. Okay, that's better. So see how I've turned this on its side? You can hear that line rifling out through the guides. That's good, good action. And that's pulsating through the water as I retrieve it back through here, okay? Excellent. This lure dives really well. Okay, so now we're casting down to braid. And what I'll do in a moment, fam, is I'm going to get some soft plastics out here, right? And then we'll fish through here with soft plastics. And I'm going to show you how to fish the other side of the river with soft plastics, okay? We're going to do some YouTube footage from rivers further south from this one. And we're going to be fishing for redfin perch using the same tactics. Nice. Okay, the good thing about this is what I'm doing is I'm getting this shock leader all the way out of the rod and the reel, and I'm just winding it back, okay? Lovely. Now, if I want to cast further, I use a longer distance between my lure and my rod tip. See, like that? Grab it just before it hits the water, away we go. There's got to be fish in those snags over there, fam. And see how I'm not overcasting? I'll cast, stop, and my lure will virtually land where my rod tip is pointing, much like the pointing the barrel of a gun at a target. It's not really much different. The only difference is you don't flick around the lure. Sorry, you don't flick around the gun, you know what I mean? Now, what I'm going to do, right, let's go through here. There's a little bit of shade over there that I should be able to reach with this crankbait. So, lovely, that's right on the edge of it. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my bail arm. I'm going to let this lure float downstream. Okay, and with this lure floating downstream, what that's going to do is that's going to give me more distance on my cast. See? See how that line's peeling off the reel? I'm just going to let it do its own thing. Right, so when this goes another 8 to 10 feet downstream, the line's going to straighten up. As soon as I see that tension in the line, the lure's still moving slowly. If you're fishing fast-flowing rivers, you can use heavy lures and do the same thing. All right, so that's straightened up, great. So now we're going to retrieve it. So I don't need to actually cast to the spot that I'm aiming for. I can cast near it slightly further upstream, and then with the natural drift of the water, I can bring my lure down to that area that I was trying to cast to anyway. So watch this again. Right, nice big long cast through here. Right, so there's a little snag down there that I can just see the tip of the branch out of the water. I think it's a snag anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to go out. Right, I think that's roughly the distance between here and the snag. Okay, so this line has got a loop at the moment. Eventually, with the downstream drift of this crankbait, I'm just leaving it, right? It's now starting to straighten. Okay, there's the resistance that I thought, and this is gonna come in straight along that snag, fam. Right, so I've changed the angle that I'm retrieving the lure at, so it's something different. Okay, and away we go. All right, so we've had our fun with the crankbait. What I'm gonna do now is, we've already caught two 42 centimetre brim from this snag here. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna do a long range bait presentation. I'm gonna go directly across the river there. I'm gonna go on the downstream side of that last snag there, and I'm hoping that we've got some brim hiding in structure, because I don't know whether you can see it, right? But across the other side of the river, you can see where a couple of trees have fallen down in the water. That's the crown, I'm guessing, from the trees over there. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna provide habitat, shade, structure, and safety for brim. So my guess is we've got brim over the other side. We've already fished this. I'm not going to fish in there yet because this is where our window is for where we're streaming. So let's have another cast, okay? I'm just going to put this away for a second. The other thing is too, famo, I'm thinking about putting a big muley out and seeing if we can catch a river mulloway, you know? Crazy Dutch bloke, how are you, mate? 5 AM, all right. Oh. What's happening here? Oh, that's good. Thought that was snagged for a second. All right, so now what we're going to do is a long range bait presentation. Okay. We've fished this left hand side. Now with a sinker and bait, we can cast a lot further than the lure. So I'm just going to go through here. That is really deep over there. All right. So I'm just going to leave that over there like so. Right. Chuck that down in there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish just in this window here with soft plastics and see if we can bring something in. Okay, so let's go and set up with some soft plastics and we'll work from there. Welcome, Crazy Dutch bloke. Surely that's not a fish already, is it? Oh, I think it is. Okay. Now, let's get some soft plastics out. What we're going to do today, people, is we're going to use some Z-Man lures. Right. What's this colour? Bloodworm. That seems to be a colour that works. If you're fishing for brim and various other species of fish here in Australia, your more natural colours seem to work better. Right. Let's get that right. Minus 27.30, no. Hey Manzi, how are you, buddy? Welcome to the stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out. Okay. I'm going to put a much smaller jig head on. Like that. Now, when you're rigging soft plastics, famo, what you've got to try and do is you've got to try and correctly guess the distance where the hook is going to come out from the soft plastic. See, you want that to ride tail up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to feed that through there. Come on, bud. Like so. Bring that through here, and hopefully what you end up having, okay, like that, is a nice straight soft plastic, and then that's just going to flicker behind that. Okay, now the good thing about soft plastics is you can use single hooks on them. Right, you can actually do that with other lures too, but we'll do that for now. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to fish with shad. Okay, shad is a fish that is native to America. They have varying forms in Europe as well. That's a weighted shad lure with the actual weight built into the soft plastic. Okay, these work really well. I've even caught redfin perch on that blue coloured lure there, fam. Okay. Yeah, Manzi, we got a couple of brim earlier on the bait, mate. So yeah, all going well today, Manzi. We've already hooked a couple of fish and brought them in, no dramas. Let's go here, like that. Excellent. Now this isn't a weighted lure that's designed to go long distances. This is more for your short range presentation, right? If you wanted to go longer distances, you'd put a heavier lure on there, okay? I'm actually going to put a heavier head on this, fam. I'll be back in a second. That's a little bit too light for what I'm using here. Should be okay. There's not much difference in the size there. Okay, this is a much heavier head on this soft plastic, fam. Okay, so this is going to make life a little bit easier. Okay, now well, there goes that pair of shoes. Straight into a big cow pat. Get off there. Not driving home with those, that's for sure. Gonna have to give those a wash later. Hang on, I just gotta wipe these through the grass, fam. Love being on a farm. Love it. Hang on. I'll kick this looping. Yeah. That'll clear it. Now, Is that line tightening up? Okay, so once again, little underhand cast just in here. Now soft plastics are good because you can fish them around fairly snaggy areas and then I get snagged. Right. They call this the bump and wind technique, so you give the rod tip a couple of bumps and it causes it to swim past like a natural looking fish trying to get back to the bottom. Now this should cast just as far as the sinker before, Famo. Nice cast. That's a good cast. You can just hear the knot that joins the braid heading back through the guides. Beautiful. One of the most frustrating things when you're using lures, whether it's soft plastic, crankbaits, slicers, whatever, is when you've got fish following your lure. It's always frustrating, you know. Nice, we're actually reaching the shade over there now. That's a good distance for a cast in any river, you know. If the fish are in the mood for it, you should be able to you know, hook one casting that distance. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce this straight along the bottom and see if there's anything along the bottom, Famo. Now see how that didn't pick up anything then? With soft plastics, with the way they're designed, they're just a modern day jig head, okay? Hey Tipsy Max, how are you, bud? So they're designed to ride hook up, just like the old jigs, so you won't get as snagged as you will using trebles and that sort of stuff on a crankbait, okay? Lovely. Beautiful. We did okay before. We got a couple of brim off that snag, fam. I'm just letting this sink to the bottom. It's quite deep over there. I'm keeping this right along the bottom, Famo, hoping it goes past the brim's nose and it hits it on the way past, you know. That's a good cast. That's on the bottom now. Oh, I did get the line, you cheeky bugger, I thought it. All right, so what we've got, fam, is we've either had a fish that hit the bait and took it, or we've got a bow in the line because it's facing downstream. So just hang on a second, right? I'm going to retrieve that, and let's just see what's happening with this, okay? Oh, bugger. Sometimes retrieving it dead slow works, sometimes retrieving it really quickly works, you know. And once again, fam, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Qualia Reels. Okay, if you're in the market for a good quality reel, you can't go wrong with a Qualia. We've been using these for quite a while now. I've been using Qualia on and off for about, I'd say, 10 years. Okay, and they're a very good quality product. If you are in the market for a threadline reel or a top quality boat reel, go to the Qualia website, use Australis at checkout, and you'll get 10% off. That's part of the sponsorship deal that we have with Qualia. Right, now, let's see if I can get this across. That's too far. All right, so what I did there is, I cast that straight over the snag, I paused, I let the sinker and the bait swing towards me, then I dropped the rod tip down and it flicked it over, okay? Let's go again. I just want to go to the left of that snag. That's the cast, famo. Now we're talking. Now we are cooking with gas. All right. Absolutely cooking with gas. Right there's the spot. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. What I can do now is, right, I can plonk this down here. Okay. The good thing about braid is, fam, you can fish much longer distances than you could in the old days, right, due to the fact that there's no stretch in the line. All right. So what I've managed to do, in the old days with monofilament, I would have never been able to cast that far, famo. No, don't go in there. Don't go in there. No, get off that. Good. Right. Let me just get a bit of the tension out of this line. Yeah, that's a fairly strong current, famo. What I'm going to have to do is bring this in here like this, right? Yep, and then fish across. That's okay. Let me just check chat for a second. Yeah, I've seen river monsters, mate. Oh, don't worry, it happens all the time, Will. When you're on a farm, mate, this is the cow's turf. I'm in their territory, you know. I think I've got half a ton of cow shit in my shoe. Right, now, famo, I think we've got a fish on, hang on. That line's moving. What are you doing? Make your mind up, fish. Yeah, I think we've got a fish on, hang on. I'm not going to cast yet. So with our management of our fishing rods, I've got two rods, all right? I've got one with the bait, okay, and I've got this one that I'm using soft plastics on. Cast the one with the bait out and leave it. It'll let you know if there's a fish on, because it looks like a fish has picked up the bait and moved with it, then dropped it. And with this one, I can just muck around with lures, you know what I mean? So the bait, you don't need to do anything. Cast it out, anchor it, leave it. Okay. The really big fish will do that. They'll pick it up, swim off with it, drop it. What have we got in here? Bit of deciduous matter. Mosquitoes, go away. I don't know what's going on with this line, fam, but we're going to find out in a second, I think. Oh! Was that a fish or a snag? Don't know. We'll give that a second though. Let's give it a second to chill out and then we'll come back. Let me just get some insect repellent. How are you, Wayno? Oh, every day's a nice day for fishing, Will. What's the old saying? My worst day of fishing is better than my best day of work. Now what I'm going to do, famo, is I've had a few casts a bit closer to me. I'm going to start getting closer to structure now. Right. Just going to work my way in and see what's around. Leaves, which is good. Oh, hello. Tell you what, they're on today, fam. Be good to get one on soft plastics. Always gets the heart racing when you see that line straighten up and there's a fish on the end of it, you know, and the rod's trying to buckle over. The other thing you got to remember too, fam, is because the river's flowing this way, I've got the bait there. There's always a bow downstream of your sinker. So if this suddenly straightens that way, you know that there's a fish on the end of it. We're only using 14-pound fluorocarbon here. Let's get that off there. All right. Let's reduce the distance between our soft plastic and the rod tip and start casting. Oh, that's straight in the tree, Jim. You do pick up a few trips on how to get unsnagged. When you get snagged so many times, fam, I'm an absolute champion of getting snagged. If you're not getting snagged, you're not fishing hard enough, simple. Yep, that's good. All right. Something scared that duck. I hope it wasn't a shark. We're so lucky to be able to fish private property, fam. You know, we don't know how lucky we are. It's great. With soft plastics too, I mean, I find I get less fish, but I always seem to get bigger fish. The little ones don't seem to, you know, connect as much as the older ones. This would be a good spot to fish at night, famo. I think that rain's coming in, fam. You can also cast with what's known as a pendulum cast, where you'll swing back and forwards, increasing the speed of your lure. Right, and you do find that you do cast further. The only problem is you sort of, let's just bounce this. Oh. So with the pendulum cast, I'll swing back like this and now see how much further I cast doing that? It's an extra 5 or 6 feet, but sometimes that can be the difference between hooking a fish and not hooking a fish, you know? And it's the same old story. What you want to do is you want to fish every single square centimetre of this river. You don't know what's in here. Where I've cast that extra 5 or 6 feet could be an underwater snag that you can't see, and there could be fish under there, you know? Lovely. Because we've cast our bait to the left-hand side here, I have all this area to fish with lure and soft plastic. Okay, so we're not hooking our line, and what this does is it just allows us to have a bit of fun while we've got a bait working for us in the water, you know? Okay, so there was a little bit of movement, and don't worry while I'm winding this. All right, we've got a fish on, fam. We've got a fish on. We've got a fish on. I'm telling you, we've got a fish on. Just saw that line move. Hang on. Right, we've got a fish on. Come on, son. Come on. Right, we've got a fish on. I'm just going to give it a little bit more slack, not snag. Right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, right, I'm going to point my rod at that line. Okay, I have not put any tension on that line because the line's still wavy. Right, now what I'm going to do is just step back. Okay, I saw that line move. I'm confident there's a fish that's taken that bait. We're just waiting for it to swim back into its snag. Hopefully it's still on there. Come on. Since we've taken that second swivel off and we've given the fish more freedom, we've had 100% hook rate. Okay. Now I'm not going to wind, I'm not going to lift the rod tip or anything. I'm just going to let the fish do what it's doing. It could have also been a small fish that picked it up and dropped it. Come on. Or a bigger fish could have brushed against the line, but I don't think so. Come on. Now I'm going to give that another 10 or 15 seconds. I don't want the fish to swallow the bait. Right, let's go. What do we got here? Yep, bait's been absolutely smashed, fam. All right, so I'm not going to worry about another piece. I'm going to put this straight through the backbone. Excellent, hopefully this can survive the cast. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go in the same spot again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cast it just in front of these snags here. Let's go. That's good. I'm happy with that. That's a good cast. All right, what I'm going to do is, that's where most of the tidal flow is in this river too. So let's just chuck that in here. I'm actually going to keep a taut line on that. I'm not going to leave a loop in it this time, so that line is pretty well straight. Now, because I've changed the angle of my line in the water, rather than fish through here and snag my line, I'm now going to fish through here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this snag in here, going to do some short range casts, going to do a mid-range cast, and what I'm going to try and do is try and get as close to that snag as I possibly can, all right? Yeah, so that was good. Something did hit that bait, but it didn't hit the hook tip, okay? Brendan Harrison, how are you, buddy? Welcome to the stream, Brendan. No, you don't find these spots on apps, mate. This is private property, so you won't find it on an app. All right, mind you, Google Earth has like Now, I don't know whether that's a small fish that's looking at that bait, but we have got interest across the other side. Couldn't be a croaker, could it? Righto, famo. Let's go. We're going to go down to a spot called Pemberton in Western Australia, fam. I'm from that area, around that area, the town next to it. And if we were in the Warren River in Pemberton, we probably would have caught about 20 or 30 redfin perch by now with the techniques that we're using. So, that's a good cast. Thing is too, right? Just say you go, it doesn't matter where you fish. If you fish a river and you see a tree that's fallen over and you've got a fork in the tree, and if you've got polarized sunglasses on and you're looking, you know that there's going to be a fish where the fork hits, just sitting underneath and holding itself in the current, right? So the closer you get it to the snag without hitting it and letting it drop to the bottom in front of the fish, the more chance you've got of hooking and landing one, you know? Okay? That all too critical, you know, conversation gulp. How'd that get hooked up there? I'm not casting over this side because I don't want to cross over the line, famo. Yeah, one of the things I don't really like about fishing nowadays, fam, is the hype that's associated with it, you know. Once you figure it out, it's actually not that difficult, but it's the same old story. You know what I'm saying? You just got to have fish, you know. And what we've got along the edge of this river, we've got a little bit of a like alluvial sand or whatever it is, and then in the middle is the channel. So the tide is going out. Ideally we would have been better off fishing at dawn. Okay, hang on, that's good. I think I've had a couple of hits, famo, they're just not hooking up. So what I'm doing is I'm casting on my forehand side here, and I'm curving that around the snag. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in as close as I can to the snag without hitting it, and hope that there's a fish that's just going to dart out from that snag, right? And then hit the soft plastic. No, it branches, okay. I might actually do another cast in there now, because if you've taken a couple of fish out from a snag and put them away, another fish will move up. It's just the natural succession, famo, you know. So let's have a couple more casts. Lovely. I wish these parakeets had stopped dropping hunky nuts in my car. It's like a national sport for them. All right, famo, we're going to go back to this snag now. Let's see what Chat's doing. Let's just leave that there. Awesome. Righto, famo, just what we were doing before. As close as possible to that snag without hitting it. Right, we're going to bring this over here like this. Okay. Like that. And we're just going to wait for a little bite. It's nice and straight in there. We'll get our soft plastics now and see what's happening, eh? This braid's so fine I can't even see it. Hang on, where are we? There it is, got it now. Okay, famo, good work. Now we can fish. What I've done, I've got a short range cast straight through there, see? Okay, and all that's doing is I've cast it right at that snag, and if there's a fish under there, we'll get it. We've already pulled 2 fish out from under there anyway. Nice, let that sink. The hell was that? That didn't feel like a snag, that felt... Right. Strange. Is something trying to hit that or what? No, terrible cast. Absolutely terrible cast. With your casting, it's very much a point and shoot. Where I point my fishing rod is where your cast is going to end up, as long as you don't overcast. So when I cast, I'll always cast using the backbone, and then the butt of the rod will hit here, and that's usually where it ends up. That's how you get a pretty accurate read of where your cast is going to end up, you know. Rightio. So, what we'll do is we'll change colours in a second. We'll go from this bloodworm to a more natural green. With brim, more natural, dull, boring colours like olive, green, brown work really well. That's the longest cast we've done all day, famo. Let's see if we can do 2 in a row. Good. Getting the casting groove back, you know what I mean? Nice work. Rifling through the guides, lovely. And see that I used 2 hands there, same distance as a single-handed cast. If I had a slightly heavier jig head, I'd have total confidence in being able to fish the other side of the bank. It wouldn't necessarily mean that I'd catch any fish, but I'd have confidence in fishing it, you know? Rightio, last cast with the soft plastic, and then we're going to send out a muley or a pilchard. Then we're going to sit down and have a chat. All right, let's ping out a muley now and see what we can get with that. You never know, we might have a juvenile mulloway around or something like that. And then we'll just sit on the back of the ute, have a bit of a laugh, and away we go. Hey baby blue from heaven, how are you mate? Welcome to the stream. Sorry about that mate, I didn't have a phone. All right, excellent, we've got a defrosted muley there, beautiful. We'll send this across the river and see what we can get. Bob a shrimp, remember that? Lovely. Fishing a falling tide's not really going to do us any favours anyway, Famo, so. Lovely. Okay, let's grab the esky and let's sit down and have a bit of a laugh, famo. Oh, we'll chuck this down here. Hey Zach, how are you, mate? Welcome to the stream. Great. Let's do that. Nice. Beautiful. Chuck that down there, like so. We could even probably do this, I think. Let's chuck that down here like this. Yeah, it's unbelievable, Aussie Welsh. The other thing is too, Welsh, if you've got a VR headset, you can watch this stream in virtual reality. Rightio. Now the most important part of any stream is not the fishing and not the fish, it's interacting with chat. Oh. This sort of setting reminds me of up north, famo, you know. Oh, really, Wayno? Oh, it would be Welshy. Yeah, I don't have one either, mate. They're not cheap, $600, you know. Notice how all the electronics have gone up in price since COVID. All right, just gonna wait for a bite. We've already got 2 fish today, which is good. So now we're just gonna chill out, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the environment, hope we get another fish. "13 people in chat, thank you very, very much. Wonder if this has the same commands. No, Zach, we're way down south. We are 30 hours away from crocodiles. Probably 35 hours away from crocodiles, mate. Thousands of kilometres north of us. Worst thing we'd have is a snake slithering out, you know. Oh, just gotta wait for another fish now. We've already pulled a couple of good fish out of this river, fam, today. A couple of 42 centimetre brim. Nice and steady. Don't worry, mate, if we had chances of crocodiles, I wouldn't be this close to the water. I wouldn't be anywhere near this close to the water. Ads, how are you, bud? What's going on, mate? Yeah, a couple, Zach. A couple of good ones. Any fish over 40 is pretty good, you know. Time to get the new shoes out, I think. Thanks, Ads. How are you, bud? What is it now? 20 past 12? Don't know, mate. Could be, might be 1 o'clock, maybe 1:30, just depends. We are at the very, very bottom of the low tide at the moment, so it's not really going to do us any favours with the fishing. Most of your high tides are really early in the morning now. So tomorrow we might be doing a beach fishing stream, fam. Excellent, Ads. How's the study going, buddy? Yes, Penny, you're not wrong there. I have no urge to drive with my lights on. Low and clear, eh, culpable? Okay. Just nice to be able to sit on a riverbank without any stress, chill out, fresh air, the whole lot, you know. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice one. What do you mean not clear? Excuse me, it is zoomed in a bit, culpable. Hey Loey, how are you? Yeah, I always use a monofilament leader. So this one's got a 14-pound leader, Loey, and this one's got I think a 50-pound leader. Yeah, this is for like sharks and mulloway. This is just for the small stuff. Yeah, I'll zoom that back out in a second. What I might do is just swap over the camera lens, I think. It's usually the easiest way to go. Let's do that. Yeah, that might be better, I think. Bit of air traffic around today. Yeah, thanks, Zach. If you go back through the VOD, mate, early on, I think about 15 minutes into the stream, probably not even that, maybe 5 or 10 minutes into the stream, and we got our first couple of fish. See you, Loie. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, we don't need to see me. We just need to see the river. All right. Let's go there like that. That's a bit better. More of the river, less of the old person. There we go. Nice. Yeah. Oh. Oi. Now that's a much better scene, isn't it? Much better. It's got to wait for a bite, fam. Manny, how are you, mate? Welcome to the stream. Are you culpable? Because I've just zoomed out to a full lens and it looks pretty clear on this one. Yeah, good, Manny. What's going on? You having a good day? I think it just might be the water, Culp. I thought that was the line then. Beautiful day here in WA. It's always a beautiful day in WA. No, it's not too bad here, Culp. I've actually got a pretty clear picture on my screen. How's everyone else's screen? Do you have a good quality picture, or is it a bit blurry and all over the place? Spudwagon, how are you, bud? Welcome to the stream. What's going on, Spud? You keeping out of trouble? I think we're on the very, very peak of low tide. Friday, shower or two. Great. Oh yeah, we're well and truly heading to the, next low in 3 hours and 33 minutes. Not really going to do us too much, fam, is it? So tomorrow morning we've got a high tide at 10 to 8. And then 8:30 on Sunday. Oh, it's tempting, isn't it? Oh, good tides. Ray James, how are you, mate? Welcome, buddy. Wait, don't do that. Mosquitoes on? No, they're not. Okay, well, I don't think we're probably going to have too much action here on Infamo because the tide's dropping and that's not a good time to fish. Good East Coast weather, yeah, I know, mate. We're hoping to get some good West Coast weather. I think this rain's sort of going to come in this afternoon, so your first wobby, how big was it, Spud? Wobbies are evil looking things, mate. Their teeth point back into their mouth. So, not me, Wayno. I'm having a couple of Friday casts, as in fishing. So, with the wobby teeth, they go back in like that. And wobbegong are one of the few sharks that can bite their own tail, Spud, so you never grab one by the tail, mate, because it'll just flick round and latch on and won't let go. They're horrible. A lot of times they get wobbegongs in the cray pots over here, mate, chasing the crays. What about you, Wayne? Are you having a drink or? 12:30. Now it's just starting to get about 1.2 metres long. In Coburn, Ray. Oh, okay, mate. They've still got the snapper season restrictions, which is a smart idea. Nice work. It's just nice to chill out, you know. Yeah, good idea, Spud. A 1.2 metre. Oh, you get the big dusky flatheads over there, don't you? When they get to about 6 foot long, their heads actually get quite wide, Spud. You know what I mean? It's like a giant carpet. Oh, okay, Ray. You still get a heap of black tip reef sharks out in Coburn and that, Ray, or not? Yeah, here comes this low pressure system, fam. Hang on, I think the bottom has fallen out of the barometer. Let's have a look. No, it's not too bad. Yeah, we're nearly at it, aren't we? Graphs. Ooh. Haven't seen a few gummies. Okay, keep hearing of people saying they see white pointers. Yeah, they always say that, mate. A lot of the bronzies look very similar, you know. Haul over inlet videos. I don't know that. Ooh, it just went cold. We're going to get some rain soon, fam. It's all overcast and cloudy, so I think I'm going to have to do the right thing and make a move to head home. Right, we need to get out of this rain. Makes me want to put 999 horsepowers on the dinghies. Fair enough, mate. Go with your strength, so. All right. Time to get the old big blue jacket out. There we are. Just went icy cold, fam. That usually means we're going to get some rain and we're not too far off. Wondered why everything was starting to, you know. Oh, yep, get me old jacket on. Nice and warm. All right, we'll start to pack up now. Okay, nothing has hit that. Let's chuck that in there. Yep, I can see a little bit of rain forming there, famo. How not to drive boats. Haul over bay's not on Fraser, is it? Oh man, what could go wrong? I haven't heard of those haul over bay videos. Yeah, here comes that rain. Oh, you're welcome, Terry. You're welcome, mate. Don't worry, we've got lots and lots of content planned, Terry. Content that was too good for the old John. I give you the tip. Now, is that ducks or mullet ducks? Drive by feel. Really? What, like feel the bottom of the boat getting disintegrated from the sandbar or something? Fanciest fishing boats. Well, they're not that fancy if they don't have fishing rods, are they? Okay, well, all right, famo, well, it's time to call it a day. All right, thank you very, very much for tuning in for the last 3 hours. We got a couple of fish early on, and then with this falling tide, it started to really slow down. Now we've got this cold weather about to hit, so the arse is going to fall out of the barometer. Stay safe and stay well. Be the best person you can be every day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. We could have a surprise stream tomorrow, or a little bit of the same of the old. I'll turn your notifications on and tell everyone to